Hey y'all, I'm Wilson. Welcome to my little shop here. Got us a simple little project on the table today. Little step stool all out of 1/2 inch plywood. Little beginner project or something good to do with your kids. This one here, I built this about 2 years ago. And I'm about 215 pounds and I can get up on it and bounce around no problem. So they're pretty sturdy. That's our parts. That's our parts for it right there. You got a top, 15.5 by 15.5. You got two sides, 15 at the bottom, 12 at the top. And of course, that's 3 inches difference, 3 inches smaller. So what you do is you go from your center and you take 1.5 inches off of each side. 12 on the top, 15 at the bottom. Same thing with this one. 14 at the top, 11 at the top, 14 at the bottom. They're both 14 tall. Y'all kind of excuse me here. It's late at night. I'm getting a little tongue-tied. But those are the parts. You notice that those two are 1 inch smaller than the other ones. That's because we're doing a butt joint. Now this has got a compound angle to it, which means it makes a turn and it leans at the same time. But it's not so much of an angle that it's going to mess with us doing a butt joint. We're kind of cheating here is what we're doing. But we're gonna set y'all up on a little stand here. And let me figure out just what I am doing tonight. We're gonna get this out of the way. And I've already cut some of my parts to try to speed this up. I'm going to build a few of them. I've got, I think, 5 cut to put together. I'm just going to give them to family members. Everybody needs a little step stool in the kitchen. As you can see, those are my sides. I've got my tops over here, you can see that. And I'm doing mine with a jig. Now you can take and measure them off, cut them with a skill saw. This is something you can do with minimal tools. As long as you got a skill saw and something to nail them together with, a little sander, you're in pretty good shape. I did a little jig for mine. Let me pull y'all back off that stand there, so I can show you the jig I made. It's real simple. You know, I've got two size bottoms. Now I'm actually scaling it down. These are the measurements for the stool that I showed you. I'm going to do the same stool, but I'm scaling it down just a little bit. So my bottoms are 14 and 13. I'm making it 1 inch smaller. But anyway, that's not going to affect this. You can take those measurements right there and you can scale it down, you can scale it up, or you can build it exactly like it is. Anything you need to do with it. This is our jig. It's just a piece of 1/2 inch plywood with a couple of 1/2 inch strips on it. I've got that set up for a stop block, and I've got some cardboard screwed under this so I can slide my plywood in and out real easy. Let me set y'all back up here. I've got one side left to cut. So I'm going to cut it right here and show y'all how the jig works. Alright, it just slides in like that. Of course, you gotta do a little measuring to figure out where your blade falls out at. Gotta figure that out, but once you do, I've got it set up. Set up with that right there, where it'll ride like that. Then I just flip it over. put it back in. I've got my stop set up where I need it to be. Makes it pretty simple if you're going to cut. If you're going to do more than one at a time, it's a lot easier to use a jig. There's that. And then, for my bottom, I made up another jig out of 1/4 inch. And that's what I use right there. To get my round, I just take that, draw it out, cut it out, find my center. Then I just center that up on my plywood. Now this is such a simple project, so easy. I'm not actually going to measure this because I'm just going to eyeball it, because as long as it's close, it's not a big deal. Oh, I almost done lost my pencil there. But that's just that simple little jig, and I'm going to keep that with that. Now, let me figure out where I've got everything laid. The shop is a mess. I got everything sitting around. I tried to get all my stuff together for the video, and I'm still forgetting where it's at. Anyway, I'm going to clamp that down there. Think about little beginner projects like this. It's nothing major. It's not nothing that you're going to make a lot of money off of. It's not something you're going to sell for a lot of money, anything like that. It's just something fun to do. But if you're a beginner, it's really good to get the feel for your tools. You know, you can be told how to do something. You can read books. You can do whatever. But until you start using the tools and actually get the feel for it, you don't know what you're doing. Anyway, let's go ahead and cut this. Alright, just simple little dish out. That's how I do my ends. Now, if you've got a spindle sander, it'll make that a lot easier. I'm going to take my orbital and get in there. It's a little tricky, but it's not that bad. Alright, so those are all my sides. And I've got my one top over here. Now, that's what I got right there. I just find my center both ways, figure out just how long I want that slot to be. I got a little 1/2 inch paddle bit, inch and a half paddle bit. Go about halfway through. Come from one side, then come from the other side, so you don't have a big bust out when you come through. Then I just take my square, mark from the side, there, just take my jigsaw and cut that out. I'll take me some hand sandpaper and sand that. As far as the rounds on this, same thing, had the gallon can. I just flush it up here, draw my line, then cut it out with the jigsaw. So that's that. Like I said, this is a real simple project. Real simple, real simple. I don't know how much y'all know as far as my audience. I don't know if y'all are beginners. I don't know if y'all are experienced, but this is a fun little project either way you go. I've got 2 short sides and 2 long sides. Now I've got my little jig here to help keep everything square. And I've got my glue bottle here somewhere. And let me get my tape measure so I make sure I get the right ones. Those are my long ones, those are my short ones. My short ones are going to butt into it. So I'm going to glue that. Glue that, get my little nail gun. Let me make sure, double check my parts because I'm sitting here talking and I'm losing track of what I'm doing. Like I say, this is just a simple little project. It's really something that's good to do with the kids, especially if they're getting old enough that they can actually use the saw a little bit. If you can kind of supervise them, hold their hand. Make sure they don't cut themselves. Simple, simple. All right, let's take here. I've got little pieces of 1/2 by 1/2. And all I'm doing with these, I'm using them as corner blocks. It just gives me a little more, glue surface inside there. It gives me just a little more strength. Like I always say, the nails really aren't doing anything. All they're doing is holding the pieces until the glue dries. We're just going to add these to the corner. Now what I like about this project, or projects like this, is you don't have to get too serious with it. You can just do a quick little throw together project, or you can get as meticulous as you want to with it. You know, you can take these measurements, transfer it to doing a hardwood, miter the corners, and make it something that looks really nice. But I'm just doing the simple little plywood. It's like I say, I just need to get rid of the plywood scraps. I can give these to family members. Everybody needs a little stool in their kitchen. But that's what we've got right there. That's the body of our stool. Now I'm going to come back. Before I put this top on, I'm going to putty and sand this. And I can take my little orbital and I can sand that round there. Once it's sanded, I'll put my top on like that, glue it down and just nail through, and that's the stool. I did want to kind of point out some things though. If you're doing this, if you're sanding with an orbital, like I say, if you're doing this, if you got a spindle sander, that's your best way to do it. But what I'm doing is trying to cut as close as I can with a jigsaw, and then I'm just going to take the orbital, and I can come in just with that point and kind of sand it out. Like I say, it's just a rough project, so if you get a little wobble in it, it's not a big deal. It's only as big a deal as you make it on this. But that's that. Then we've got the top, and you know we did the round on the top. You got to come back and sand that too. If you're sanding that with an orbital, don't use the center. Don't use the center of your orbital to come around that curve. Don't use the center and don't put too much pressure. If you use that center, you're going to tear up your pad if you do too much of it. Try to take that edge. Don't put a whole lot of pressure on it, just sand back and forth like that. Or you can hand sand it, you can do it however you want to. Like I say, it's just a simple little project. It's kind of neat that you get to work with compound angles, but you can do a butt joint to make them work because you're not leaning far enough to make it really mess up. Now I'm going to bring you down here and kind of show you the top of this. Now when you're doing a compound angle, the more you lean, the more the inside will open up. The more you lean it back, the more that back side will open up. But we're not leaned back far enough. We're not leaned back far enough for it to really open up, you can see. But if you look, you'll see the top is kind of uneven because we didn't cut the top on a bevel to match each other. But that's the beauty of this. Like I say, we're cheating. We can put that right on there, and from the bottom, you don't even see it. You glue that and nail that on there, and it'll be fine. If you really want to, you can put a bead of caulk around it. Like I say, sometimes it's fun just to do a quick little simple project that you can just throw together. Don't have to be real serious about it. But by the time you sand it and paint it, you've got a stool that'll last for years. But anyway, y'all are probably tired of hearing me talk. Maybe next video will be a little better. I wasn't too happy with this one. It's kind of late at night. Like I say, I'm getting tongue-tied. But anyway, I'm gonna let it go at that. Like I say, next one I'm gonna try to do better. So y'all bear with me here. Like I say, I'm just doing this on the fly. I'm not doing it with a script or anything. So especially if I'm doing it late at night, I tend to get kind of tongue-tied and miss stuff and skip over parts. But if there's anything you want to know, just send me a comment. If you like the videos, go ahead and subscribe. I sure do appreciate it. Like I say, I'm trying to get up to 500 subscribers, and right now I am up to 313. But anyway, I'm gonna let y'all go. I appreciate y'all watching, and I'll see y'all on the next one.